Welcome to the Best of the Monty Show 2023, presented by our friends at soundsleepmedical.com. Before we get into it, I want to remind you, there's a big difference between snoring and sleep apnea. Every night in this country, people go to bed with sleep apnea and they never wake up because it stops you from breathing. You know, if you have sleep apnea and you wake up and you're, or your spouse wakes you up because you're snoring loudly and gasping for air, you don't have to do that anymore. You don't have to be embarrassed anymore. You don't have to sleep away from your wife or your husband. All you have to do is get to soundsleepmedical.com/Monty and sign up for their free sleep evaluation. No embarrassment. It's completely discreet. What they're going to do is tell you, hey, are you just somebody who snores or do you have sleep apnea? In any case, they're going to fit you for a custom mouthpiece that's going to move your lower jaw forward, clearing your airway so you can get that sleep you need. I'm begging you, do it right now, don't delay. Sleep apnea kills Americans every single night. Don't be the next one. Get to soundsleepmedical.com.
Treat snoring and sleep apnea with no masks and no tubes. Just better, healthier sleep with Sound Sleep Medical. Use code MONTY, M-O-N-T-Y, to schedule a free sleep assessment today.
The Monty Show.
A massive day of news in the college sports world. And I know that in the comments section already, we have over 300 comments where people are like, oh, fixing news, the Property Brothers just built another house. That's not what this is. That's not what this is. I actually think this story with NCAA President Charlie Baker proposing sweeping compensation and NIL regulations is earth-shattering. I think this is where we finally have gotten confirmation that the NCAA knows that its demise is near. That is all this is. This is a shot of desperation from Charlie Baker and the old men that run the NCAA trying to keep up with the new, hipper, faster bros. And I don't necessarily believe that this is going to work. Now, that's very different than saying I don't think it's going to happen, because I do think it's going to happen. But the bottom line here is you are trying to feed the beast. You are trying to feed the biggest universities who you believe make you the most money, who you know have more power than you do. You are trying to quell the riot. And I just don't think it's going to happen. And we're going to get into the details of these suggestions, if you will, here in a moment. But Jake, do you believe these are legitimate plans to compensate and properly care for college athletes? Or is Charlie Baker trying to save the NCAA?
Yeah, I think Charlie Baker's trying to save the NCAA. I think that this is hardly about, you know, the kid or like benefiting any of these athletes. Like this is hardly, hey, we're going to come up with sweeping NIL legislation so that the kid can be better protected and taken care of. And, you know, let's put the kid in a better place. It's not about putting the kid in a better place. What it's about, in my opinion, for the NCAA and Charlie Baker is in its most broken down concept. This is about the NCAA coming through and coming up with an idea that allows them to have a better relationship with the programs that matter in athletics. And they want to do that because they see their grip on college athletics slipping through NIL. So they've just simply said, hey, we're going to propose to make all these changes and to create all these different ideas and concepts within this legislature that allow us to be the ones that are running the new legislation. In other words, as we said a moment ago, to save the NCAA, to give us power back where we've lost power. And I think it's a very, straightforward thing. The NCAA has never been about the kid. And they always tell you, oh, well, we want to take care of the kid and the kids in our, we have the best interest of the kid in mind. Yet, what do we always hear about with the NCAA? Before we get into these details, we always hear about the NCAA coming in with something that takes money out of the pockets of kids. It takes opportunity away from them. These kids should not be paid. They're student athletes, not athletic students. We've heard that for a decade now. So these details, this whole thing, in my opinion, is exactly that. Them trying to get control back and get back into a power position within collegiate athletics.
Yeah, I think some of the verbiage in this is very interesting. So at the minimum, what this says is that within the framework of Title IX, invest at least $30,000 per year into an enhanced educational trust fund for at least half of the institution's eligible student athletes. So if you have 400 students that are participating in athletics, you're talking about 200 athletes getting $30,000 a year. That's a lot of jack. How many schools can afford that? You look at something Jake said in our pre-show meeting today. What'd you say about Arizona?
Yeah, I mean, what have we been hearing about Arizona? Hey, Arizona's had that accounting error. They're missing hundreds of millions of dollars.
$240 million.
They're not going to be able to be in a position where, and I don't know the exact number for Arizona specifically, but let's just call it 400. You know, they're not going to be able to pay 200 kids out of their 400 kids in their athletic department this type of money because they don't have that type of money anymore. And I think there are a lot of examples in situations around collegiate athletics. And remember, this is reserved for Division I, of course, right? So that is one limitation. But I think as we go through these details, keep in mind, like, hey, well, what about this person that maybe doesn't have money because of this or because of that? Arizona's the latest example of that.
Commit to work with their peer institutions in the subdivision to create rules that may differ from the rules in place for the rest of Division I. Those rules could include a wide range of policies such as scholarship commitments, roster size, recruitment, transfers, or NIL. They're talking about taking the richest, most powerful schools in the NCAA and putting them into their own subdivision. Not every school in the Big Ten, not every school in the ACC or the Big 12 would have to join. It's up to you. If you believe that you want to be in this subdivision, you can join. But the entire Big Ten does not. If Michigan wants in and Purdue does not, Purdue doesn't have to join. It is truly a case-by-case basis. I think one of the more interesting parts of the letter that Charlie Baker wrote to over 350 universities, this one right here, amongst a list of things that this could do. Fifth, it gives the other schools in Division I the ability to do whatever might make sense for them and for their student athletes within a more permissive, more supportive framework for student athletes than the one they operate in now.
And I think that verbiage is really interesting, right? A more permissive and supportive framework. What do we know about the NCAA's stance currently towards NIL and kids getting compensated and sort of the new age and how money flows through collegiate athletics? Well, we know the NCAA hasn't been a big fan of that. They haven't been, real supportive of that. So again, when the question is, hey, what's the motivation for the NCAA to do this? It's clear to me that the motivation is, hey, we need to get on the right side of NIL. We need to get back in a favorable place with all the member institutions that participate in collegiate athletics. We need to help our image. So this is not, once again, about the kids. This is about saying, okay, any institution that can afford to buy their way in to this select and elitist group, we want to talk to you. We want to work with you. And
yes.
Hey, if you can't get in, sorry, man, you're just going to have to play by the 100-year-old rule book. And we're not really interested in talking to you. But this is about the kids, right? This is about the kids, right, Charlie? No, it's not about the kids. This is not about the kids. Let's be very clear.
And I think you look at this grouping of rules. This is, again, this is amongst that list that Charlie Baker wrote to 350 institutions. Look at number 7. It gives schools most impacted by collectives, SMU, the transfer portal and NIL, the opportunity to create rules, programming, and resources that are in the best interests of the vast majority of their student athletes instead of just a few. Maintains the existing NCAA national championship model across all existing Division I sports except FBS football, which continues to operate under the rubric of college football playoff. It provides an operating model the NCAA and its member institutions can incorporate into ongoing discussions with Congress. Finally, it kickstarts long overdue conversations among the membership that focuses on the difference that exists between schools, conference divisions, and how to create a more permissive and flexible rules across the NCAA.
But while we're using fancy words like permissive and supportive, flexible, is this not the most divisive thing the NCAA has done to this point yet? Is it not, hey, we're going to create an environment where the haves can further separate themselves from the have-nots? Think about it. Every week on this program, we give you TV viewership. Up until championship weekend, of course, we give you the AP top 25, the college football playoff top 25. You know, all these rankings that show, okay, this school's here and that school's here. And, you know, these guys are on the outside looking in, but these guys are in. And what did we talk about with the Pac-12 situation? Well, currently they're in court and going through this whole thing about, you know, tournament shares and college football playoff shares and bowl shares. So let me get this right. The NCAA just rolled out a bunch of paperwork that said, hey, we're not interested in dealing with the person who's broke, whether that's because you're not interested in funding your athletic department or because you are interested, but you don't have the money because you don't win because you're not one of the big boys. So you can't win in NIL and recruiting anyway. So what does it matter? That's what they're saying here. So the kid that goes to SMU is an example. Very interesting position. SMU just bought their way into the ACC. We all know that. That's not new. But if a school like SMU has a bunch of budget and has coffers and donors and all this money just sitting around, theoretically, they could buy in. They could buy in and say, hey, we're going to go full stop, you know, big time NIL, and we're going to play with the big boys that way. So my biggest issue with this is it doesn't really ultimately singularly matter if you win or lose now with this type of legislature. What does it matter? It matters that you make money. And however you go about making that money, the NCAA is not really going to concern themselves with that. They're going to concern themselves with, can you afford to pay the fee to get in? And if you can, we want to hang out with you. You can come play in our sandbox. But if you can't, boy, you better just stay home. We're not really interested in talking to you, and that's pretty much it.
Do you really believe it's playing our sandbox? Do you really believe that it is that kind of division? Do you truly buy into that?
Yeah, I do buy into it because when I see in this letter from Charlie Baker where he's talking about how, you know, again, those words that we just mentioned, you know, flexibility,
yes.
you know, permissive, supportive, that's all marketing nomenclature for, hey guys, get in this group, buy in, and then because you've bought in, right? Because again, you're paying us, you've bought in, we're gonna loosen up restriction. We're gonna take our hands off this thing, and you guys collectively are gonna work together to make the rules into what you want them to be.
Yes.
And if you can't afford to pay us to be in this, in other words, if you can't afford to pay us to bend the rules, then you're going to play by the 100-year-old, however old the NCAA is, rule book. And that's what I think is a problem, because if this group of schools, however deep the group is, comes in and says, for example, hey, schools can pay the kids whatever we want to pay them. It's up to us. You have no standing over it. This group can pay their kids whatever they want. You think NIL is a problem now? You think that the portal facilitating NIL transactions to players is a problem now? What do you think it's going to be with this?
I do think I think here's the thing that people don't want to talk about. And I'm sure, listen, I'm not trying to stir the pot or throw gas on the fire, whatever the words you want to use are. You know the biggest problem with this and why people don't like it? Because people don't like the haves to have more.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people get frustrated when the rich get richer, because let's stop pulling punches. This is the rich getting richer. This is, you know, Alabama got in over Florida State because ESPN said so. Well, there's no evidence of that, but it's very clear that you look at, you guys want to see a magic trick? Here, let me show you how to get millions and millions and millions of people to turn on a TV set in this country. Here's exactly how you do it. You put the biggest brands in college football on television, whether it's Ohio State and Michigan, Oregon and Colorado, Ohio State, Notre Dame. Listen to how many times I say Ohio State, Penn State, Ohio State, Colorado, Florida State, Michigan, Penn State, Bama, Auburn. You look at the names on this list. Are they very different than the names on this list right here? They're not very different.
Treat snoring and sleep apnea with no masks and no tubes. Just better, healthier sleep with Sound Sleep Medical. Use code MONTY, M-O-N-T-Y, to schedule a free sleep assessment today.
Are they very different than the names in championship on Championship Saturday, where Bama, Georgia drew 17 million viewers, where Michigan and whoever they decided to play, because I don't think Iowa has a football team, but Michigan drew 10 million people playing against itself, apparently. Washington and Oregon drew 9 for the dead Pac-12 conference championship game. You're welcome. There's your free magic lesson. You put the biggest brands on TV. I think it needs to be said, those biggest brands, those are the ones who make it possible for Boise State and Utah at the time to be a BCS buster.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the ones who make it possible for Liberty to be one of the best stories in college football. But nobody wants to say that because Liberty did it all by themselves. Well, I got news for you. No, they didn't. No, they did not. Because without Texas, Bama, Washington, and Michigan, you don't have Liberty Flames football. You don't have Tulane football. You don't have, we own Dallas County, right? You don't have the Fighting J.R. Ewings. I'm telling you now, the haves already have. They just want more. And the little guy is going to get less. That's the way this game is always played. How much more of an illustration is that in college sports than the transfer portal, where we've had thousands and thousands and thousands of student athletes making a decision that they believe is best for themselves, going from one school to another school because they can play in big games and they can make more money. It's called the haves and the have-nots. But notice what Charlie Baker never said here. Oh, well, this subdivision, it's not going to be its own authoritarian body. It's under the NCAA because, well, we all know, and this is a really important point, the old men who are out of touch with college athletes and those that are coaching college sports right now because they're 170 years old and they want to do it like Yale and Harvard always did it, they're the ones getting pushed out here.
Facts.
It's not the fans. It's not the schools. It's not the student athletes, because the student athletes are always going to get their cash because they're the ones who make the old men the money. Yeah, it's those old men that are getting pushed out. And the bottom line is the haves already have it. And the have-nots will likely never have it. This is all about placating the Bamas, the Georgias, the Michigans, and the Ohio States, the biggest brands in college sports, so that they don't go and leave the NCAA to die a very slow, painful, poor, poverty-like death. I think that's exactly what this is. And I think that's, to me, this is the NCAA trying to throw itself a lifeline.
What happens when this subdivision gets big enough in terms of participating members where they can say, yeah, we're just going to have our own playoff. And that's going to be what the national championship is.
I think I think there's two things. Here's the problem with that. They can't do that without television partners. And there's a contract with the college football playoff, right? So a lot of people have said that. And I think in the future that could absolutely be a possibility. Right now, today, it's not even possible.
Well, I don't think that they're what more where I'm coming from is like, okay, they're clearly, because you didn't just come up with this overnight, right? Just so we're all clear, like this is
is why Charlie Baker has his job,
right? So this is something that's been bandied about between the powers that be for a little while now, and you're just now finding out about it, but for a little while now. And so my point here is that, hey, if they're gonna all work together to come up with this idea, then it's not that far-fetched that, let's say 5 years from now, let's say just down the road enough, hey, by the time the ACC grant of rights, certainly it's set to expire. You really telling me that if this is greenlit and all these schools start participating that are, again, all those nameplates he just said, you really telling me these schools aren't going to try and break away even more? Well, of course they are. That's the direction it's going.
This guy's been on the job for less than a year. You understand that. Charlie Baker's been on the job for less than a year, and your first major action is to throw, what I can only say is, a Hail Mary to the biggest brands in college football to try and save the NCAA. That's why this dude got hired. This guy's a career politician, man. This guy got hired to negotiate and come up with a plan to save the white hairs at the top of the NCAA. I can't find myself, and I think I'm a pretty enlightened guy. I think I generally have a pretty good idea of what's going on in the offices of power in sports. I think this is absolutely the white hairs in full-on panic mode. Because all they're doing here is saying, hey, yeah, listen, you little guys, you probably should focus on education. Your graduation rates are great. Hey, Bama, let's talk. All right, cool. That's what this is. Hey, SEC. Notice, though, that Greg Sankey, the commissioner in the SEC, did anybody see this today? Greg Sankey straight up said, yeah, I've never heard of this. None of the commissioners got an advance notice about this.
Because it's not a conference thing.
Charlie Baker sent out 350 notices about this. Not one of them to a conference commissioner.
Why would he? Why would he?
I would guess not.
This has nothing to do with Greg Sankey. This has nothing, because again, and it's to your point, this is a power move by the NCAA. What is the NCAA? What are they viewing, perceiving on the horizon here? Hey, one way or another, whether it involves us or not, there is a group of schools that is going to begin to pull away from the rest because they've been in the college football
100%.
playoff so regularly. They've been
100%.
in the tournament every year. So if this is going to happen one way or the other, and we need a power play, we need a way to get back into the conversation, let's create the yellow brick road for these schools to do it. And no, I'm not going to include Tony Petitti and Greg Sankey. I'm not doing that because this is not about the SEC or the Big Ten or the ACC. This is about the member institutions, brands that stand alone as the most valuable in sports, regardless of their conference.
I think
it's dangerous.
It's going to be very interesting to see where this goes. I think we're in a situation where you have the NCAA, and I think they see themselves in the crosshair. I think they understand that Nick Saban has far more power than anybody that sits on the Division I board of directors. I think they understand that Charlie Baker is not somebody that has a whole lot of power. It doesn't matter. I'm not listening to Charlie Baker. Hell, you guys probably couldn't even pick Charlie Baker out of a lineup, right? But if Nick Saban's talking, you're going to listen about getting everybody on the bus in the right seats, moving in the same direction, right? We quote Nick Saban on a regular basis. I don't know of a quote from Charlie Baker. I don't know of one. So I just think that it is going to be very interesting to me to see, because I think NIL and collectives are a huge part of this. Again, I go back to, some of these things that, people are writing about, like Yahoo Sports, the crux of Baker's proposal to allow Division I schools to compensate athletes directly through name, image, and likeness, and remove the cap on educational related payments that athletes can receive. I think that's exactly what this is. And you look at this $30,000 per athlete enhanced educational trust fund. Let me make this really clear. You think that's not happening already? Do you think, because it is? I think what's really interesting is this is like sign stealer guy, right? Everybody's got a sign stealer guy, I would assume. Now, do they send him on the road to 12 Ohio State games? Yeah, probably not.
Sign stealer guy.
Right, but everybody's got one. Everybody is paying players. I truly believe it's happening. NIL violations and rule breaking in NIL, I think, is rampant across college athletics.
And the NCAA is not incentivized to enforce it.
No, they're not. And the other part of this is, like, you look at the transfer portal. I think we're approaching 5,000 football players in the transfer portal right now. Do you really think that coaches are like, hey, kid, come on over, we'll give you $50,000 a month in NIL? You really think those conversations aren't happening? Hey, come on over. We'll give you, we'll give you 10 grand. We have a deal with a luxury condo tower in downtown Miami. We're going to get you your own penthouse, and we're going to chauffeur you around town in a BMW. You think that's not happening? That's happening. Do you think they're not like, okay, here's $30,000. Oh, we can't pay you directly, but here's your meal money. You really think that's not happening? Or here's your stipend? Or of course that's happening. All this is doing, and all Charlie Baker's proposal is doing, is making it legal. All he's doing is making the bank robbers be decriminalized. That's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, I don't have a problem with that. And I know, again, I have been roundly ridiculed on this show, and I'm happy to take friendly fire again. I'm a big believer that the haves already have it. So stop calling the haves and the have-nots. Because the big boys run college athletics, whether you want them to or not. You think Bill Self is less influential? Who's more influential, Charlie Baker or Bill Self? I'm going to go ahead and say Bill Self is far more influential.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know any other way to say it. This changes very little other than it makes criminal acts non-criminal.
And I think it just encourages the big boys to eat. It encourages, like, I agree, it makes it legal. But I think in addition to making it legal, we're going to go ahead and encourage you, right? We're going to wrap this thing around words like permissive and supportive, and like we're being nice to you now about it because we understand there's no stopping it. There's no unwinding the watch, right? Like there's none of that. It's over. And so that's why I say, are we really going to now look back at the SMU thing? Because I think it's a perfect example. Can you really sit here and be like, yeah, SMU?
Well, it's funny because that Jagoff Casey Anthony got away with it is back today.
Oh, well,
dude, we have missed you.
Yeah, where
have you been? You are such, and I know we say this all the time, but our viewers in the comment section on the show, you guys are so important to what we do. The guy who coined the phrase Jagoff on the Monty Show is back.
Let's go, baby.
Everybody, let's go.
Let's go. Here, I'll even give you
let's do this.
Let's go, baby.
Let's go. He said SMU boosters are high-fiving each other right now.
Okay, we've talked about this, okay?
Right?
You're correct, but listen, we've talked about this.
Craig
Every time
James,
you come back, hold on. Every time you come back, I expect a Jagoff reference.
It's okay. Here, let me fix it. Those SMU boosters who are Jagoffs, those Jagoff SMU boosters are high-fiving each other.
There you go.
Right? Craig James, who's not dead, is rolling over in his grave about this because he probably lost the national championship because of it.
Mm-hmm.
Reggie Bush, who is now a phenomenal player of golf, is desperately seeking his Heisman Trophy, right? Like, you knew it was only a matter of time. You knew it was only a matter of time. Big Blue Horses for $2. The NCAA is losing in court. This is the result. And I think this is a really good comment. This is a really good point. The NCAA has never been less influential and powerful than it is right now.
Slipping away, man.
Because the TV money that they were so thirsty for started flowing to everybody else now. When the TV partners don't need the NCAA, what is there to talk about?
Nothing.
Because the NCAA isn't the one brokering the SEC deal, the ACC deal, the Big 12 deal, the Big 10 deal. They're not the ones brokering the college football TV deal. They're not. It's just so incredibly, I know, ironic maybe is the word, that the NCAA white hairs who are just squeezing every dollar for every one of its 100 pennies. Now they don't have a dollar to squeeze. They're like trying to make a dollar out of 75 cents.
Mm-hmm.
And the kid, where the other quarter went? It went into Travis Hunter's pocket, right? And now all of a sudden they've only got 50 cents because kids are taking money out of the NCAA's pockets and they don't like it. But now they've realized there's nothing they can do about it. And they're desperate to hang on.
So my question is, okay, great. The NCAA is proposing this. What do the big boys say? Because if you're the big boys and you're smart enough to get to this place with it, with NIL, and we've pushed the envelope this far, why do you want the NCAA to govern this? Wouldn't you want to just govern the whole thing yourself? I mean, isn't that what the paperwork essentially says?
It feels like that
the NCAA just kind of wants to put their their sticker on the thing and say, hey, this is an NCAA initiative, but they're going to let the kids run the sandbox, as I say. Like, that's what it feels like. And so if you're, again, the big boys in collegiate athletics, the Bamas, whoever you want to point to, why would you even want to include the NCAA? Because, again, the other thing that's not in here is the structure of, like, hey, so is it just, all right, lump sum to the NCAA and we're good to go? Or is this a thing where you can finance, like you can pay payments to get in? Or like, what do we, those are the things that I think about. Because, again, how the money moves determines who can get in and who cannot get in. So if you're one of those bubble schools that, we might be able to afford it, but it's really pushing our budget.
Yeah.
Can we do payments to get in? I'm going to guess probably not if it's on the trend of 6 million plus to get in here. Like, that's what I'm talking about. There's a lot in this thing that's not being discussed. So if you're the big boys, why even fool around with Charlie Baker? Why not just go and take the bull by the horns and say, we're doing this?
100%. Absolutely 100%. Less of us, more of you. After we tell you about Bucked Up, the official energy drink of the Monty Show, here it is. The almighty Buckshot. It was so much fun yesterday on Giving Tuesday, watching all of you guys interact with Bucked Up. If you didn't get a chance to get your free Buckshot, they have continued the promo because you guys have taken so many people got excited about the free 6-pack of Buckshot. It's in the description below. Hook it up. I tell you every day, it's 200 milligrams of naturally sourced caffeine. Most other energy shots, if you're a 5-hour energy guy or whatever energy shot you choose, check the label and you'll notice a bunch of chemical names in there. And why is that? Because they don't use natural caffeine. They create a chemical concoction to make your body react like it's caffeine. Not at Bucked Up. They use elite ingredients to make elite products that do exactly what they say they're going to do. So every day on this show, right about now, we pop a Buckshot and I say cheers to you. Yes, sir. There it is. Yesterday, I had a headache. Within an hour, the headache went away. And it's because of Buckshot. It's a great headache cure. Hook that up. But listen, whatever your life challenge is on a daily basis, we have so many Amazon, FedEx, a lot of postmen listen to this show. I heard from a police officer in Norfolk last night on Twitter DMs who listens to this show while he's on patrol. Like, all of you guys, thank you for your service to our community, especially our delivery and law enforcement. This time of year is so tough for law enforcement and package delivery people. Thanks for everything you do. Thanks for listening to the show. Get yourself a free 6-pack of Buckshot. Power through your day, serving our community. Bucked Up, the official energy drink of the Monty Show. Let's get your comments in here. Oh, boy. Eric Wasikowski from Plymouth Canton.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, Detroiter.
Hey, Wasikowski.
I know this is off topic, but shouldn't you be talking about a certain someone's debut tomorrow night? Yeah,
dude.
You're dead to me.
Yeah.
Patrick Kane makes his debut.
Thanks for the tip.
With the Eastern Conference Detroit Red Wings that really nobody cares about. So
Because it's garbage.
And then the Bears are going to kick the crap out of the Lions. So what's really the point, Wasikowski? What are you hanging on to? Jim Harbaugh's innocent? Yeah, good luck with that.
Congratulations, but that's bullshit.
Dick. Good to see you, Eric. As always, Steve Barnes for $20.
Hey, Steve.
Alabama with John Mechie and Jamison Williams. Alabama 41-24. Bama loses both, and 2 weeks later, Georgia 33, Bama 18, but injuries don't affect anything, and these people insane. Georgia 41, FSU 3.
Mm-hmm.
Are we still on? Oh, FSU. Oh, man. Best team in the country. Oh, God. Why did you keep Seminole Nation out of the playoff? I'm so tired of, I must get, it's got to be 5-6 comments on YouTube an hour. You guys are assholes. Why do you hate FSU?
Fucking donkey.
Who are you, Michigan fan? Why do you guys hate Michigan? You come here because we tell you the truth. And I would also say, because he's not healthy, without Jordan Travis, you're not one of the 4 best teams in the country.
I'm giving you a fucking answer.
You don't have to like it, but I'm giving you an answer. Call the FSU fans. Oh, God. Stop. No.
My bad. Sorry.
You guys just whine and cry like Bobby Bowden ain't coming. Nope, not talking about. Anyway, Ryan Willie for $5. In my opinion, this will ruin the college football playoff in March Madness. It won't change it at all. The college football playoff, it's not going to change it at all.
Not in the near term.
You win games or you don't win games. So you're telling me San Diego State can't recruit because they're not in this. But I mean, they're getting the pro rata they deserve now, so they'll be able to afford their way in, right?
I think the concern is,
I said the pro rata.
the pro rata they deserve. That was really well done, actually.
You can only lead the horse to water.
You can only lead the horse to the pro rata.
That's exactly right.
No, I think the concern is more like, okay, yeah, sure, the current structure is in place, and however long that's in place, okay, great. But once that runs out. So basically, from that point when all of this would expire, all the current TV deals and all that would expire, from then to today backwards, these schools that can afford to get in here, again, assuming this goes through, because it is still a proposal, but assuming it goes through, the concern, I think, is, okay, you've got this, elite group of schools that can afford to buy their way into this thing. And if there's enough of them, because again, that's the other thing. If there's only like 5 schools in this thing, nothing's going to change. Absolutely nothing will change. But if you've got let's call it the top, I don't know if we still have like the AP top 25, like the top 25, the top 50 best football programs in this thing. Like if you have enough numbers to go out and say, hey, look, we were in the final college football playoff rankings, right? We have all those schools in this subdivision.
Liberty at 23.
So if you're Liberty, you definitely want to push forward a thing that would say, hey, this group of schools is going to have their own March Madness. We're going to have our own college football playoff. Because what does that do? It shrinks the pot. You have a better chance of making top end money if you're in this group. And that's why I just say it's a big concern.
I don't believe, because again, not every school has to do this. If only Michigan and Ohio State, the Big Ten, want to do this, okay, great. The rest of the Big Ten is still competing for a national championship.
Correct.
It just means that Michigan and Ohio State are playing by a different set of rules than you all are. So it incentivizes you, if you've got the bread, to go and do it. That's what this is.
And think of it this way. So let's say it did start off slow in your example, where you have Michigan and Ohio State. Those two brands work together to change the entry fee from $30,000 to $15,000. Hey, let's lower this thing, right? And allow more people to get in, because we need numbers to go out and do this. That's what I'm saying. This isn't something where they're like, all right, we're going to wake up tomorrow and figure out how to do this. There's an end goal here. And we don't know quite what that is yet. It may be to branch off. It may just be to make more money. Who knows?
I think Charlie Baker was hired to save. I think Charlie Baker was hired to save the NCAA. That's what the guy's been on the job for 8 months, and he's already got a plan. Come on. Come on. He was hired to save the NCAA. All right, big shout out to Sean Rollins, who gifted a Monty Show membership.
Go, baby.
Love it. Make sure you hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow. Thanks again for everybody who's been here, who is here today. Look at all the comments already rolling in. Let's see. RJ Seaman, Power Grab 101. Absolutely it is. Absolutely it is. Christopher Parker, RIP PGA Tour.
Dude, don't get me started on the betrayal that is John Rahm.
Please tell me this is, is it John Rahm or the golf ball rollback they announced today?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Don't get me started. The golf ball rollback is meaningless. It changes nothing. Mike Smith, I think it would change March Madness more than the college football playoff. I think that's an interesting point, because one of the things we've seen with the one and done in the college basketball world is the Blue Bloods are struggling more and more and more to compete with San Diego State. The Carolinas, the Kansases, the Kentuckys, the Dukes, they're struggling to compete with the, Florida Atlantics. That's what the one and dones have done. And I'm curious if, Kansas is able to join this sub division. I'm curious, does that mean that Florida Atlantic no longer is a factor because Bill Self doesn't have to hand out envelopes? He just throws Benjis at everybody now. Right? That Tim Floyd at USC back in the day doesn't have to stand on a street corner in Beverly Hills or whatever it might be. I'm curious. I'm also curious, does this end the one and done? Because it hasn't so far. A lot of kids are, it's not like kids are staying in school at some enormous clip. So I think it's a very interesting.
There's a lot of X factors here. There's a lot of side effects to this drug that's supposed to fix the NCAA.
No. The word that you're looking for is there's a lot of unintended consequences, because we also don't know what the unintended consequences of this are. Hey, man, we got to feed the beast. Well, what happens when the beast becomes a fat ass? Because you just kept feeding it and feeding it and feeding it. What are the unintended consequences of letting the big boys eat?
Yeah, another thing that's not in there is a cap on how many members there can be.
Because I don't think you would want a cap. I don't. I think this whole thing's going to be very interesting. And please trust me, this has nothing to do with the welfare of the student athlete.
No.
I don't believe that for a second. Casey Anthony got away with it for $5. I dedicate Justin Timberlake's Cry Me a River to Florida State Nation. It couldn't happen to a bigger bunch of jagoffs. There we go. There we go. There we go.
Hillbillies.
Oh, whoops. Whoops.
What are you doing?
It glitched. I'm sorry. It happens once in a while. It was an accident. I apologize.
Good Lord.
Sorry. My
glitched.
bad. My bad.
Casey, I appreciate the bomb. Nice
well
job.
done.
Paulo gives us a $5 super sticker. Thank you.
Thank you.
Derek Roche for $5. College football needs an NIT playoff, maybe a G5 playoff as well. Hey, man, I have forever advocated that, especially when we had the BCS, because I think we all felt like the BCS was really a narrow path to winning a national championship. Hey, if you don't make the BCS, let's have another tournament. Because I'm also a believer that December shouldn't be just filled with, your mom's new seamstress sewing machine company bowl in wherever, the Bronx, right? Like December doesn't need to be crappy bowl game month. December, I think, should be the playoffs to get you to the World Series, the NBA Finals, whatever it might be, right? If you're in college football, December should be about playing your way into the postseason. Hey, if you won your conference or whatever it might be, play your way in. And I don't know what you would do to limit that or how many you could facilitate. It's not going to be 64 like the tournament. But could it be the top 25 college football playoff teams at the end of the season? They all play in a 4-week tournament. And I don't know. Why not? Like, if you really wanted to, you could figure it out. You could figure it out. And I think if you don't make the college football playoff, there should absolutely be a game of consequence. And the one thing that I like about I have no idea why they did an NBA in-season tournament other than to say sell jerseys. And man, some of those floors are ugly. You know the one thing I like about it? There's money on the line. You want to pay a kid? All right, make him earn his way. Make it, hey, there's a $5 million prize split amongst everybody on the roster. $5 million, right? Like, okay, cool. The winner gets $5 million. Make it like a golf tournament, a purse. There's a $100 million purse brought to you by Capital One, whatever it is, right? Dr. Pepper, Capital One, your mom's seamstress presents. That's what I'm talking about. Play it on Saturdays, man. Every Saturday in December. And then January, you have the Final Four, like you do now. How hard is that? Okay, I feel better. No,
Good.
I don't. This is never going to happen. Mike Smith gifted a membership to the Monty
Hey,
Show.
Mike.
Oh, you didn't have a flinch of the finger on that one, did you?
I did not.
Did ya?
Nope.
Jerk. I'm the jerk in this. Okay. RJC, man, FSU fans crying is much more delicious. I agree. Has FSU fan become, no, Michigan fans way more unlikable.
It's
right?
close. It's close, dude.
You really think
I
it's close?
Disdain for Florida State fan. Absolutely.
Well, I don't think the Ron DeSantis thing helps. When Ron DeSantis says he's going to take $1 million of taxpayer money and burn it.
But I just don't take you seriously, whether it's DeSantis or, Jordan Travis or any of these guys. I don't take you seriously if you're really going to sit here and tell me that you believe you should get in because you earned your way on the field. It's not about what you earned.
No,
It's about the best teams, and we've been over this 100 times.
Yep. Totally agree.
Get the hell over it.
I agree. Derek Roche, the NCAA is giving the big boys the pro rata San Diego State deserves.
Wow.
Fresh Out, Gumby Fresh Out says he's fitty. Exactly right. Exactly right. Jesse Crum. Hello, Jesse. Ron DeSantis investigating why FSU was left out by the committee. Not a joke. Check ESPN. We went into that yesterday. And it's not a joke. I totally agree. Mike Smith. If any other fans' team went undefeated and won the conference championship game, they would be bitching just as loud as FSU fans. But here's the thing. And again, I'm asking for a friend. If you're bitching and somebody says, well, I understand that you're undefeated and you won the conference championship, but there's a rule that says they can consider injuries and keep you out of the college football playoff because your best player, your quarterback, it's kind of important in football. He's out for the year. And we watched you play in that conference championship game. Not good. Not good. Your Iowa was more compelling. Okay, that's a lie. But my point is, it wasn't good. I just think at some point, it's wasting money at Michigan. You wasted assets and resources at Michigan defending Jim Harbaugh, and then at the 11th hour, you're like, yeah, we're going to let this go. It's a total waste of money, and I don't get it. Kurt Myers, NCAA Pro Division. I mean, yeah, you could put it that way. Absolutely, you could put it that way. Jeff Woodworth, some school is giving Elon Musk an honorary doctorate so he will help fund their football team. Got to believe that's happening. Right? I mean, that's what this comes down to.
Legal bribery, sir.
Yeah, it's not. I think I have no problem with people that are like, hey, I'm going to Elon Musk is going to fund our football team for this year. And part of that funding is he bought us a private jet so that we don't have to fly charter. When's a donor going to buy a team a 747 so they don't have to charter? So they can fly private. You're telling me, Michigan doesn't have the money because they burned it in court. But are you telling me that the OHIO doesn't have the money to do that? Come on. Like, that's where we're going to. I mean, I know it says Dallas across your chest. Are you telling me that SMU's flying commercial across the country? I somehow have a problem with that. That's what we're going to.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to, hey, Ohio State flies commercial. Not us. We have a private jet. Desmond Howard, who defends us like a moron on ESPN, he gave us a private jet, a 747. We fly private now.
Yay!
Right? It's no longer, well, you're a Jordan school, so you get free Jordans every week. Come play here.
We've graduated to private jets.
Remember when that was good enough? Oh, yeah, you get free Jordans. Oh, at North Carolina, Michael Jordan practices with us.
Man, those Carolina Blue 11s are no longer enough.
Can't get those at Duke, can you? Right? That used to be good enough. Now that's not good enough. Now it's the Jordans every week, but I also want, $50,000 a month, and I want to fly private. And my parents are on the team plane. Right? That's what it's come down to. So this just doesn't surprise me. Joseph Harper, speaking of cheating college football coaches and players, who is one of the 12s in Seattle, probably didn't need to take that shot. I never understood why college football playoff couldn't adapt to the FCS playoff system. Let them play each other and may the best team win. I don't know. Because I think they like the controversy. I think they like the fact that it's Wednesday, 3 days later, and Florida State fans still has not recovered from their emotional stupor. Right? They're all emo Jimmy Butler right now at Florida State, right? Like they're crying and, oh, it's so painful. I can't get out of bed.
I wish I had broken my leg earlier in the year so you could see the quality of this team.
Right? It's crazy.
Those are a joke.
Get
dude.
out of here.
Grow up.
DK for $10. 5 of the committee members are ACC athletic directors. This conversation is doing way more damage to college football than anything else. But again, that's the hypocrisy of Florida State.
Florida State's talking about due process, and we are going to fight for what's right. The sanctimonious is going to go to the taxpayers and steal $1 million of their money so we can sue. Well, speaking of process, aren't you guys the one that are trying to break the grant of rights you agreed to?
And it's very powerful.
We're not going to talk. We're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about getting screwed out of the college football playoff. Excuse me, but didn't you guys try to gather everybody else in the ACC to break the grant of rights and so that you could make more money?
That's bullshit.
That's the hypocrisy of FSU in there. Process wasn't followed. Like, come on. It's wild to me that here we are on Wednesday and we are still talking about pissed off Florida State fan.
Yep.
Who, unlike you, has hit the like button on the Monty Show. The eye patch says Washington versus Alabama. Okay. Marcus Emmert says $100 a bucket. What's $100 a bucket? What did I miss? Conundrum. Charlie Baker equals friend of Joe. Okay. Gary Wolf. The TV partners' quest for more and more money is going to destroy college football eventually. But is this the TV partners' quest for more and more money?
Not sure how you can make that case, man.
I mean, maybe you're, I don't understand that comment in the framework of Charlie Baker's proposal.
Listen, if you want to say that ESPN and all the networks are going to benefit off of this, yeah, I'm happy to talk about that. I mean, the ESPN has been, looking the other way or, just trying to, they're not going to help you. They're just, they're not going to hurt you either. They're just going to hang you out to dry type mindset. So if they like it, they're going to do it. And if they don't, they're not going to. So if you bring all the best teams together, yeah, I'm inclined to think that brands like Fox and ESPN are going to be involved. But make no mistake about it. This didn't come, from ESPN.
No.
This came from the NCAA.
Certainly. Gumby Fresh Out wants to remind us that consequences have actions, pimp. I agree. It's something you got to know. John DeLon, doesn't it stand to reason that the haves playing for a major championship will naturally lead to the have-nots playing for a minor championship? We're already doing that. The minor championship is called the Pool and Weed Eater Bowl. Well, the Blue Bonnet Friends of America Bowl, right? Like, think of the stupid bowl name. Those are the minor championships.
Yes, the meaningless football game for a blue ribbon.
And don't let Florida State fool you. They are one of the haves. They are not a have-not. They're not a have-not.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you look at the college football playoff, again, DeLon, I think you're right. Look at it. Look at the college football playoff, man. How many have-nots are on this list? Just out of curiosity, how many have-nots do you see on this list? I see one, and that'd be Liberty, and they got religious money. So SMU certainly is not a have-not. K-State, who's lost every assistant coach, their quarterback, and their running back, they're not a have-not. Tennessee, Oak State might be a bit of a have-not, right? NC State, Iowa State, Notre Dame, Louisville, Arizona. Arizona's missing $240 million. There aren't many have-nots on this list.
Mm-hmm.
I dare say, outside of Liberty, I believe that all other 24 here would absolutely be in the we have more money and assets than you do category. I think everybody else would be here. Is James Madison trying to get into the we have more than you? No, they're not. They're not. Sorry. So I don't think, and I don't know how to say this without sounding like a red ass. And I'm not trying to be a jerk, and I truly am not trying to be a jerk. But I sit here and I say to myself, is it some kind of like state secret that the big boys run college athletics? Is it when did it become like some crazy theory that the blue bloods in basketball are more important than FAU and San Diego State? And I'm talking about last year. When did it become like crazy thinking that Alabama, Michigan, Ohio State, hell, Oregon and Washington, they have far more sway than Liberty
They have far more sway than the guys in the Mountain West. Air Force is a great story. I don't see them as being one of the big boys. Fresno State, don't see him being one of the big boys. Boise State, don't see him being one of the big boys.
It's the reality of the landscape.
Nevada, Reno, I mean, name the Mountain West team. Name the CUSA team, the AAC. Like, you guys, this isn't a secret.
Oregon State.
You don't have the money, so DJU is transferring.
See you later.
Cam Ward's transferring. You know why? Because you're a have-not, and he wants to be a have. This isn't rocket science.
Well, that's the issue, isn't it?
So my point is, we need to stop with this question of, well, this is just, isn't this going to create a separation of classes? Bro, the separation of classes has been here.
Keep it real.
Georgia and the SEC, this goes to the SEC conversation. Oh, man, it pisses me off. The SEC thinks they're the best. Well, breaking news, they are the best.
They are, and everyone agrees on that.
No, they can't be because they didn't beat teams out of the SEC.
Oh.
Come on. Come on. This is what all this is doing, is putting it in writing, codifying, solidifying what we already know.
Y'all feel me?
It's what we already know. It's very difficult to be Utah because Utah was a BCS buster and now they're a have. Yeah, Utah would be in, right? You look at anybody in the Big 12. And I'm talking about our friends at the Bounce House in Orlando, all the way to Cincinnati, down to Houston, up to Provo, like anybody in the Big 12, even the new boys. You think Grayson McCall's going to UCF because they're a have-not? No, he's going to make more money there. He's going to make, all due respect, Chanticleers, he's going to make more money bouncing in the house than he is with the rooster and stuff.
With all due respect.
Right? Like, is this some kind of secret?
No.
And I'm trying not to be, a jerk about it, but this is known. Why do we fight this stuff? Why are we, let's go pick it, bro.
Because there's a huge sect of college football fan that wants to live in the 80s of college football. Like, hey, we've got these conferences and these kids don't make money. They're student athletes and little Jimmy here.
Hey, Jakey, will you sign my petition to stop them from doing the haves versus the have-nots?
No.
I'm going to the parade. Okay. Peace out.
When is parade? When is parade?
Oh my God. Gumby fresh out. No Tremonti, our uncle. That's exactly right.
Our mother.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. You're welcome. It's wild to me. Harry Austin, hope you are well down in the Tone of Sand. It is a reflection of society where the wealthy are getting more wealthy at the expense of the rest of society. We're going to talk about self-checkout. Did you guys see that 7% of all self-checkout transactions involve theft?
Doesn't get any more red, white, and blue than that.
And would it surprise you that most of that 7% is rich people in Gen Z that are stealing from self-checkout? It's not, you're not wrong. The wealthy are getting more wealthy, but this isn't the wealthy getting more wealthy. This is the wealthy becoming more entitled.
This is the wealthy taking advantage of the fact that 80-year-old Ned is your receipt checker at Walmart.
That's
okay?
right.
That's what this is.
Where you can walk into Walmart and tell them to get out of your way. You have a contest to win.
Yeah, dude.
Right?
Get out of my way, dude.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
that's what
out
this
of my
is.
way, dude.
UW fan Jim, love bowl games, but then again, I actually like football. I guess people want what Housewives of LA or something, But it's true. How many are you excited to see Caleb Williams not play for USC in their meaningless bowl game? Kyle Wilson. You should play the sad music.
Give me 1 sec. Here we go.
We want a path to becoming a have. Okay. I told you. You're going to be fine. You're going to be fine.
I knew today would be shitty.
You're going to be fine. Just merge with the Mountain West. That's all you have to do. Marcus Emmert. Cam Rising should probably go after some big money. He's staying at Utah, and he'll get big money. Mike Smith, house bouncing QB. Grayson McCall is going to go to UCF, which is a great one, in my opinion. Gary Wolf says the Rudy Tooty Fresh and Fruity Bowl, featuring USC without Caleb Williams.
Treat snoring and sleep apnea with no masks and no tubes. Just better, healthier sleep with Sound Sleep Medical. Use code MONTY, M-O-N-T-Y, to schedule a free sleep assessment today.
No. Gumby Fresh Out, the Jakey Two Holes Bowl.
Thank you. Yes.
Isn't that your toilet?
Yes.
Go play intramurals, brother.
Jack Harrington, the Drunk Beer Bowl. Gumby Fresh Out, the Self-Checkout Bowl, where concessions are all stolen. Right? Johnny Gonzalez, I thought Monty was doing the 7%. It can't be me because what's my rule, Jake?
I'm not talking about that.
I never go to self-checkout.
Mm-hmm.
I support unions and employees in this country. James.
Hi, this is James. Welcome back.
The unofficial mayor of Cowboy Country.
Yay!
Oklahoma State is not a have-not. Well, apparently they are. I don't know if anybody saw the ultimate irony today in Stillwater. Play the sad music. It was a tough day in Stillwater, Oklahoma. Because not only is T-Boone Pickens turning in his grave, but a Gundy is in the transfer portal. How about Mike Gundy telling his kid, look, boy, hey, boy.
Hey, boy.
You look at me when I'm talking to you through my mullet, boy. You're not good enough to be the quarterback at Oak State. Oh, Dad, take me back. Daddy, why don't you love me?
I'm a man.
How about Gundy putting his kid in the transfer portal?
Damn.
Boone Pickens Stadium is one of the best in the country, and they just fixed up the north side. Little spackle and stuff. And are currently upgrading the south side. Yeah, okay, we're going to put all USB ports in the south side.
Hey, guys.
Okay? Put a little spackle up there in the north end. If you guys could paint it orange and black, that'd be great, okay? Anybody got that James Cowboy Country Mayor guy's phone number? We need his approval on this.
No.
Because he's T-Boone Pickens' boy. Boy. I say that Oak State is a have-not. Because did anybody see the news that came out today? And listen, you guys, I understand. When the only way to truly in college football be a have is to get to trydaytrading.com. That's when you know.
Totally, dude.
Stay hard. That you are a have.
Absolutely.
Right? So trydaytrading.com presents hour number 2 of the Monty Show. Come on. That was some of
your best material, dude.
I'll take his side. I'm just saying I'm amazing. Not as amazing as trydaytrading.com. You guys, if you have not got their $10 30-day trial membership, James, you should have been able to afford to take your wife to the conference championship game because you were making $300 to $500 a day at trydaytrading.com. I hope you're going to the bowl game. You know, I mean, Gundy's kid won't be there, but you should be there because you went to trydaytrading.com, right? Like, that's what I say to everybody. Look at your life and ask yourself, what is the hole in your life? What are you frustrated with? What are you upset about? My job, my boss, my car broke down. I hate my house. I need to remodel my kitchen. Whatever that might be, trydaytrading.com. I've got a ton of student debt, trydaytrading.com. My credit card bills are killing me, trydaytrading.com. If I could only pay my car off early, trydaytrading.com. It quite literally is that simple in your life. And they're asking you to make a $10 donation to charity to get their entire program for free in 30 days. That's as legit as it can be. They know that if you go through their program for 30 days at trydaytrading.com, you're gonna go in head over heels because it is scintillating. It is exciting. Think about that conference championship game. Think about the sporting event where your heart was pumping. That's what day trading is. Last night, again, Australian dollar versus the Japanese yen. Awesome trading last night at Tri-Day Trading. I love it. I'm addicted to it. I cannot wait to do it on a daily basis. My wife, I'm so proud of my wife is just kicking ass. I'm telling you. We open that Tri-Day Trading platform on a daily basis, and she's just racking it up, dude. Why aren't you? Get it now. $10 charitable donation gets you a 30-day trial membership at trydaytrading.com. No strings attached. No commitment past that 30 days. trydaytrading.com/Monty. All right, real quick, James. When I talk about Oklahoma State being a have or a have not, my point is if you're a 4-star quarterback and you're getting phone calls from Brent Venables, Mike Gundy, Steve Sarkisian, you're getting phone calls from all these programs in the vicinity of the truck stop you live at. K-State, you name it. Arkansas, Houston. How likely are you to pick Oak State over those programs?
Hell no.
And I'm just being honest. How likely are you to say, I want to be a Cowboy instead of a Longhorn? Okay, Texas is a behemoth. I want to be a Longhorn. Do I want to play for the Baylor Bears or Oak State?
Is that a real question?
I think that's surprisingly close. Man, do I want to be a Horned Frog or a Cowboy? Well, TCU's had far more success in recent times.
And Sonny's very different than the mullet.
And it's Fort Worth. I think when I look at, and you talk to me about resources, you don't have a quarterback. You have Ollie Gordon accidentally. Where was Ollie Gordon earlier in the year? How come you don't have a quarterback? You're not deep. You don't have elite facilities. I'm just, if we're being honest about Oklahoma State, why are you going to take Oklahoma State over TCU, K-State? Why are you going to take them certainly over anybody? And I would guess that if you are competing with any other school in the Big 12, Kansas for football, okay. Kansas or Oak State basketball, okay, throw out Kansas. They're the behemoth. But there's so many, are you going to, you see what I mean? It's not a slam dunk that you're taking it over anybody.
The image and the branding of Oklahoma State needs some work, no doubt. And I'm not saying it's a negative place. I just think it doesn't feel as big.
The Monty Show.
Michigan and Jim Harbaugh have dropped their legal battle with the Big Ten. Jim Harbaugh will be suspended for the full 3 games to end the year, so he will now miss not only the Penn State game, but Maryland and Ohio State at the Big House next weekend. It is, in totality, a 6-game suspension being served by Jim Harbaugh, 3 to start the season off of the level 1 violations from the NCAA during the COVID dark period and his dishonesty in that investigation. Harbaugh gave himself a 3-game suspension. Now he has accepted another 3-game suspension for a completely different scandal around sign stealing. This is quite remarkable. And Jake, I just don't think anymore that even the most ardent Michigan fan can defend Jim Harbaugh missing half the season.
There is no defense. And today, essentially admitting your acceptance of this punishment tells me everything I need to know. You were never going to that hearing on Friday. You were never going to try and fight this. All you wanted to do the whole time was be a barking dog about it. You wanted to bark at the wind. You wanted to make as much noise as possible. You wanted to be the biggest pain in the ass for Tony Petitti that he had ever seen or had to deal with. And what did we do? We played a big game of chicken, which is, hey, we're gonna battle, butt heads as hard and as fast as possible, right up until that portion where we got to go into a courtroom and try to defend ourselves from something that has no defense. So to me, I look at this and I say, yeah, the most passionate, the most loyal Michigan supporter, you can go ahead and put your guns down and back off, and you can start saying, yeah, you know what, we did steal signs illegally. We did send people out in advance, and we are accepting the punishment from the Big Ten, and it's time to move on. That should be your positioning statement, not, hey, everybody was doing it and we did nothing wrong and we're a victim and we're getting, special treatment here, because you're not getting special treatment. You're getting the exact treatment that you deserve based on your actions. And Now we get to say, yeah, not only did Jim self-impose 3 games this year, he's now accepted another 3 games, and he's missing half your season. Again, why are we dying on the hill for a guy who's not winning you national championships and misses half your team's games?
Yeah, I think this is a real body blow to Jim Harbaugh in Michigan. But one of the things I think is so interesting is that there has not been a denial of this situation. And now that they have accepted this 3-game suspension, is this an admission of guilt from the University of Michigan about sign stealing? I don't know how you can look at it as anything but that. I do think that obviously there was some trade going on here. The Big Ten agreed to close its sign stealing investigation because the Big Ten had left that open, which obviously exposes Michigan to further penalties, depending on what the Big Ten had unearthed. But I think it's really interesting, this idea that Michigan didn't admit any guilt. Michigan fan today is saying that they just wanted to put this behind them. Well, the funny part about that is the judge that was going to hear this appeal tomorrow in a courtroom in Michigan is not only a Michigan University alum, not only a Michigan University Law School alum, he's also a Michigan football alum, a former Michigan football player, and somebody who currently is a lecturer in addition to being a judge at Michigan. That's who is going to hear this case of Jim Harbaugh and Michigan versus the Big Ten on this temporary restraining order. Did you have so little confidence that an alum was going to back you? A former football player on the bench was going to back you? Did you have so little faith in your argument that you folded, you collapsed on this? It is, frankly, you guys, I'm shocked that Michigan folded here. I am really surprised that Michigan did not take this as far as it could go into a Michigan courtroom tomorrow and try to get this overturned, because I have to think that a temporary restraining order with a Michigan football alum, a Michigan law alum, and a current lecturer at Michigan law, I have a hard time believing that that person could be objective in this case. I truly do. And it's why I'm so surprised that Michigan at least did not go to court and lose on this.
Yeah, I think that Michigan is you know, again, employing the strategy of we're just going to make as much noise as possible until we actually have to start backing up our claims. That's what the strategy is. Whether, you know, it was in the response to the initial, you know, statement that was sent from the Big Ten that you were getting suspended, or in any other example you want to look at. Michigan's always had this bullish approach, and ultimately, you know, that only goes so far. I mean, you kind of run out of steam when, you know, a judge is going to ask you in a court of law, hey, like, what evidence do you have to back up that you're being mistreated here? That somehow the Big Ten is, you know, and Tony Petitti is not, you know, actually following this thing to the letter of the law and doing it by the book. And that's why they're not going to court. And I maintain that to me, while yes, it is surprising that you weren't committed to going to court and losing just to prove a point, it also isn't surprising that you bailed out of actually going to court and fulfilling your obligation to Michigan supporter, because I just think at some point the rubber meets the road here, man. If you're going to keep saying these things, eventually you have to back them up.
The only thing that makes sense is they did not want to talk openly in court. That's the only thing that makes sense. I'm 100% in agreement with you. I think it would have been a very difficult argument for Michigan to win if they were going to go to court and argue that, hey, it's, you know, I know we've not denied it, but and I would have said again, my argument in this case, if I were Jim Harbaugh's lawyer, would have been in the notice of penalty from the Big Ten to Michigan. They said that they were punishing Michigan by suspending its football coach. And if I were Jim Harbaugh's lawyer, my argument would have been, don't punish my football coach or don't punish my client because your university did something or is accused of doing something. I think that's the only logical argument you could have made there, because there really is no evidence that we've seen or heard publicly that ties Jim Harbaugh directly to Connor Stalions' scheme. Now, as those of us living in, you know, actual reality know, you don't you don't have to know if you're the head coach. It's your responsibility to know. It is your responsibility to make sure that your staff is operating ethically and within the NCAA guidelines. And clearly, as Michigan has not denied it, I am of the opinion that their staff was not acting ethically. I am of the opinion Jim Harbaugh knew. I am of the opinion both his coordinators knew. I think his players knew. I don't know how you wouldn't know. And I think that the Big Ten acted very responsibly here. I think they did not go far enough in their suspension. It's a 3-day suspension. That's it. That's it. That's all. That's all Jim Harbaugh got here was a 3-game suspension. 3 Saturdays in the month of November. I'm all in on that. I was a little surprised they fought it in the first place.
I mean,
frankly.
isn't that the price of doing business in some respects? Like, hey, we're gonna go out and we're gonna execute one of the largest sign stealing operations ever seen in college athletics.
Bro, if I said to Jim Harbaugh, hey, Jimmy, here's the thing. You can go to the college football playoff multiple times. You'll actually win a big game because I'm going to show you how to beat Ohio State twice in a row. And yeah, but as a consequence, at the end of this thing, you're going to have to miss 3 game days, 3 Saturdays.
But you can still coach during the week. You can still prepare your team.
You're going to miss those 3 Saturdays. He'd have said yes every time. He'd have said yes every time. And who wouldn't?
That's why I don't understand why Michigan and company went with the strategy of let's try to play hard ball.
Yes.
Insult Tony Petitti, just go way over the top with it when the punishment we're discussing is nothing. I mean, honestly, I agree with the one thing I agree with Michigan supporter on is, oh yeah, Jim doesn't actually do a ton of coaching on game day. Is he the one that decides if you go for it on 4th and 1? Yeah, but it's not like he's the offensive and defensive coordinator.
Not a play caller.
Yeah, Jim's primary function is to get these game plans together, make sure the team is tuned up and dialed in and prepared to play their next opponent. And so to me, if I'm Jim, I'm like, yeah, absolutely. If you're going to give me a 3-day suspension, dude, I'm taking that all day.
Let's do it.
I'm taking it all day long.
Wait, so I can finally beat Ohio State, and it'll be 2 years in a row. And I can go to the college football playoff multiple years, and
potentially I can still get extended to one of the richest deals a college football coach has ever had.
And that's only going to cost me 3 Saturdays? All right, I'm in.
Doesn't get any more red, white, and blue than that.
Come on in, Satan. Let's do a deal.
Let's do it. Right? What are we talking about, man?
He would absolutely say yes to that. And I have a hard time arguing with him, frankly.
Now, as far as the NCAA is concerned, that's a whole different conversation.
Oh, that's just getting started. And I think a lot of Michigan fans today on Twitter, there was quite the extravaganza on Twitter today of Michigan fans who are like, oh, we did nothing wrong. We are innocent. We're martyrs. We're being victimized. Hey, they took that 3-game suspension and agreed not to argue anymore. All of a sudden, Michigan fan on Twitter got very quiet. I think they probably lost their internet access. They had no idea that this happened, right? Because they're victims. And it's amazing to me. And so I just ask you, knowing that Jim Harbaugh is missing half your games and you're undefeated at 10-0, and he's missed half of those games, right? I'm just asking, is Jim Harbaugh worth all this? The same question I asked you 3 weeks ago when this broke. Is Jim Harbaugh worth all this?
No.
He's not. He's not worth this. And if you give, the dad bod god khaki wearing MFer this contract extension, I think you're foolish.
The khaki king, dude.
I think you are giving Jim Harbaugh a license to continue and humiliate the University of Michigan, who deserves far better.
That's the one thing that I don't think anybody can get away from, no matter which side of the fence you're on. The public humiliation that the institution goes through to support this football program is incredible. If this had happened in the knitting program, the whole program would have been shut down.
Can you imagine if a test stealing operation had happened in the law school?
Imagine if Michigan discovered a full-on Mike Ross from Suits taking tests for people and raking in thousands of dollars a day doing it. What then would we be saying?
Can you imagine if your university, I don't know, had lost $240 million? Then what? Oh, wait, that happened in Arizona. No, bad example. My point is...
But they weren't suspended.
No.
Why should we be suspended?
I just think it's really convenient now that you're like, oh, yeah, we just took the suspension to put this to bed. No, you didn't. Because this is far from over.
If you had anything to stand on, you'd have gone into that courtroom wearing your Captain America suit with your shield, and you would have fought this thing to the death.
Because remember, it's a shame that, the Khaki King is not going to be on the sidelines for the 1,000th win in Michigan football history.
Shame.
Right? Like it's an injustice. It's a real shame to take this away from Jim.
Perpetrated against our program.
Yeah, you took it away from yourself. And that's the point that I can't get away from. This is all self-inflicted. This is all self-inflicted. It is... I don't know how else you would spin it.
I'm curious if Michigan fan, like what's the next positioning statement for when the NCAA stuff comes down? Because the positioning statement was, oh, everyone's doing it, right? Everybody and their mom who supports Michigan was like, everyone's stealing signs. We're being victimized. So then when we get clarity on the FBI's investigation and when we get clarity on what exactly the specifics are of the U.S. integrity portion of the investigation, when we get clarity on what exactly, the punishment being considered by the NCAA is, what then will be the positioning statement? Because that time is coming and we're already getting tweets from, the low-level reporting accounts saying, Jim Harbaugh is expected, quote unquote, to draw interest from the NFL. So you can see where the yellow brick road leads here.
No, the yellow brick road leads to Michigan going to the SEC, right? Because they're bailing on the Big Ten now.
Another good question, dude.
What happened to all that tough guy?
Where's the U-Haul at, man?
Right? Like where is the Michigan leaving the Big Ten talk? Oh, that's right. You lost.
Yeah,
so
I'm
there's
not talking about that.
And that's the biggest issue here. I don't think anybody, historically anyways, doesn't respect Michigan football until right now. Before this cheating scandal, even with the level 1 violation that Michigan fan says never happened, and even with the COVID dark period, all of that stuff, even with this FBI investigation, it's Michigan football. You know what? They'll get past it. This cheating thing, I think, has completely flipped that script. I think this has been so incredibly damaging to the integrity and the reputation of Michigan University. It's that you as a leading institution in the legal community are defending somebody who is a 3-time cheat is remarkable to me.
I don't break the rules.
Not only is this sign stealing thing a big deal, not only are the level 1 violations and the recruiting scandal back in the COVID period a big deal, your offensive coordinator and your football program are under FBI investigation. This guy's a 3-time cheat. In my opinion, this is an absolute blight on the face of Michigan. And I think Michigan's one of the finest law schools in the country.
Absolutely.
I don't think anybody even questions that one of the finest law schools in the country is endorsing unethical and illegal behavior is amazing to me.
Yeah, I also think the Big Ten and the big picture has got to consider some of that too, because again, if you look at this thing from the Big Ten's perspective, you've got the Northwestern stuff, the Michigan State stuff, the Michigan stuff. Like how many more things are we going to add to the Big Ten ledger here? The Big Ten is dealing with storm after storm right now, and Tony Petitti's only been here for less than half his cup of coffee at this point. I mean, the guy's not even been on the job for, even a year yet? Has it been more than a year that he's had the commissioner's seat?
No.
Like this guy has had to come in here with his fire hose and having to, put all this stuff out. And so that's why I say, just keep in mind, the Mel Tucker stuff has been absolutely positively muted.
Treat snoring and sleep apnea with no masks and no tubes. Just better, healthier sleep with Sound Sleep Medical. Use code Monty, M-O-N-T-Y, to schedule a free sleep assessment today.
By this Michigan sign stealing, thing. And that to me is the biggest indictment of it all, because we've graduated from Fitzgerald at Northwestern.
Yeah.
We graduated from Mel Tucker. We're on to Jim Harbaugh, America's team, Michigan. Like, that's what stands out to me, is that it just keeps going in the Big Ten, the conference that's raking in $100 million, right? A school. Like, dude, this is the conference that's making bread hand over fist and has all the problems in college football. The SEC doesn't have these problems. The ACC's problems in terms of expansion were put to bed. We're going to get to this Pac-2 stuff here in a minute, but that's kind of running its course now. Like, the Big Ten is in the spotlight, and I don't know when you fix that or how you fix that. That's what's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know how I don't know where Michigan goes from here. I think it's a blight. I would love to get your comments on it. I am curious, like, how much damage do you think this does to Michigan? I think in the short term, it's no damage at all. I think they're going to beat Maryland. I think they're going to beat Ohio State. I think they're going to probably lose in the Big Ten championship game, and I think they're going to go on to the college football playoff. That'd be my guess. I don't think they're national championship good. I don't think they're Bama or Georgia good. But I think when you look at, are they Florida State good? They certainly are. Are they Washington good? Yeah, I think they probably are. But I think you run into the Oregons, the Georgias, the Bamas. I don't think they're that good. But I think Michigan has a chance to go to the college football playoff here when Jim Harbaugh will be back in khakis on the sideline for the University of Michigan. And I think it is incredibly, incredibly damaging to the University of Michigan that this clown is going to remain as their head coach after what is one of the largest cheating scandals in the history of the NCAA. And I see everybody, there's 5-6 people I saw mentioning Bobby Bowden, because of, like Bobby Bowden, who should be the all-time winningest coach at this point, lost what was it, 12 wins over an academic scandal. The late Bobby Bowden, he died during COVID, and I don't think this even touches it. I don't think it's close to that. I think this is far beyond anything that happened at Florida State with Bobby Bowden. I think this Penn State? No, that's the worst scandal I've ever seen. But Jim Harbaugh should not be the head coach at a prestigious university like Michigan. I just don't think he should. Like, I mean, his coordinators, one of them works for his brother in Baltimore, now has a 1-year show cause notice. What does Jim Harbaugh get after this is over? And again, I'm just sitting there asking, where's the contract extension? Where's this? Hey, we're going to make Jim Harbaugh one of the highest paid coaches in the history of college football. Where's the contract extension?
Is there clarity from Jim to the school about what he intends to do after the season's over? Because I think that conversation, while obviously extremely private in nature, is one that a lot of people wonder about. Because if Jim is saying things like, yeah, I think it'd be best for me to leave the program after the season, or, he just fully intends to move on, then yeah, you're obviously not even going to offer that contract. But if Jim is still in the stance, and I can't really tell, I'll be honest with you guys, I can't really tell where Jim himself is on all of this, because I as I've rewatched all the media bits and all the comments and all that, like to me, part of it is him joking with the media and just trolling because he's an asshole about it. And part of it is he's not good at talking to the media. He's not at all. He's not some savant at like wordplay. He doesn't know. He's not efficient at like.
And he's always been awkward.
Yeah, he's always had that awkward sort of energy, the weird pauses. So like, is Jim in a place where he's like, yeah, I'm kind of done with this. Let's just go back to the league. And even if I can just get 5 years out of the NFL, okay, cool. And then I'll ride off into the sunset, let's say. Or is the play to stay firm on this and Get your contract extension from Michigan that's loaded with out clauses for the school.
What's going to happen here is I think they have a really good chance to beat Ohio State because it's at Michigan. Although I think Ohio State's phenomenal. We've talked about this. I think they're going to win the Big Ten championship, and I think they're going to go to the college football playoff. I mean, I don't even, at this point, wouldn't it be, I want to say Iowa, right? Out of the West? I mean, Michigan's going to boat race whoever they play in the championship game.
Absolutely.
Come on. You're going to the college football playoff. And then what? You're just going to ride off into the sunset? I think he will. And I think he is going to get a massive show cause notice. And I think he's going to wind up taking a year off from coaching, and then he'll end up probably back in the NFL because time heals all wounds. And I think we've seen this with a number of basketball coaches. And I just don't think the fact that Bobby Petrino has a job should not surprise anybody. The fact that Rick Pitino has a job should not surprise anybody. It just is what it is, man. And I think Jim Harbaugh will collect all of his spoils from winning what he's like. And I would think that he is likely he's not even a stretch. Jim Harbaugh is likely to win the Big Ten championship.
Absolutely.
He is likely to go to the college football playoff. He is likely to be paid an exorbitant amount of money to do that.
Well, at this point, if you're Michigan and you're, looking at your path here, obviously you still expect to go to the college football playoff. But I think we're getting to a point where now, if you're ESPN, you're almost encouraged to want them in the college football playoff. The college football playoff committee has made it very clear that they don't give a damn about disciplining Michigan.
Nah.
It's not their responsibility. So I've always maintained the playoff committee's, job is to produce the best matchups and appease the TV partners. Is putting Michigan in the college football playoff not the exact thing that every college football fan wants to see? Even win or lose at this point. Because if you lose, it's like, yeah, here's the bird. You guys can't cheat anymore.
I think college football fans want Ohio State to go to the big house and win. That's what I think.
Well, that would be justice.
It would be an incredible irony. I don't even know what you would say. If Jim Harbaugh's got to wind up coaching in the Joe Blow Dick Me Beef Jerky Bowl, it would be amazing. And if they lose to Ohio State, my question would be, is Jim Harbaugh coach his last game at Michigan? Because, again, I would remind you, we're far from over with this. The NCAA, it has yards to go on this. I look at the Blake Corum, Connor Stallions, oh, my God, he defrauded me, and my lawyer's on it thing. I think we're far from done with that. Like, I think there's the damage that Michigan continues to allow Jim Harbaugh to do to this program is remarkable. It's remarkable. It is. And the damage that you do to your performance on a day in, day out basis by not getting to buckedup.com, the official energy drink of the Monty Show, and not getting yourself some buckshot, it is still 50% off. They did restock, so all their flavors might still be available. Do you know what buckshot is? Buckshot is an energy shot. And you might say, well, I already take energy drinks. Bro, it's different. This is 200 milligrams of naturally sourced caffeine with a bunch of brain food in a bottle. You drink it and you get a natural lift. And the best part about it is there's no crash. There's no spike. You just feel more clear. You have more energy so you can get that workout done. So you can get through that pivot table and Excel spreadsheet, the conference call, the drive home. You got to do homework with the kids. You're just struggling. You don't feel great. You have a headache. Totally get it. Pop a buckshot and have a better day. In fact, the best part about buckshot, when you integrate it into your daily routine, every day is your best day. Thanks to our friends at Bucked Up. Cheers to you. Every day on the show. I love it at this time. You guys, in the description below, there's a link to get 6 free buckshots. And right now, they're $15 for a box at buckedup.com. When you get there and you shop their early Black Friday sale, Sports50 is your promo code, Sports50. Hook it up, buckedup.com. Let's get all of your comments in. Coming up in 15 minutes, let's switch gears and talk about the Pac-12 Boy, devastating day for Oregon State and Washington State. That's coming up in 15 minutes. Ryan Willie for $5. Harbaugh and Michigan were scared that they were going to lose. They didn't want all the evidence to get out, which could be. But I mean, your guy is on the bench. Like the judge, and if you're just tuning in, the judge in the Michigan case, the temporary restraining order hearing tomorrow, the judge is a Michigan grad, a Michigan law grad, a football player at Michigan. He was a football player, and he currently is a lecturer at Michigan Law. That guy was going to hear the temporary restraining order case for Michigan football. And Ryan, you might be damn right. How on earth did you think you were going to lose that case? Oh, that's right. The evidence is not in your favor.
You have to at least have something to argue with for your boy to grant it.
Yeah, I don't even know
what. Nothing.
I truly don't. I told you I would make an argument, and I don't know that it would win. I don't. Ryan Willie also gives us $20. I'm curious how the Michigan talking heads will respond on College game day and big noon kickoff. NCAA will bring the hammer down. Sorry, Pat. On Michigan, Harbaugh is too exotic to be hired anywhere, or too toxic. I said exotic. Harbaugh is too toxic to be hired anywhere in college football. And he basically is going to have what's called a show cause order, which means, hey, Texas A&M, you want to hire Jim Harbaugh? You're going to have to show us how he's the best alternative for you. And if you hire him, you're going to take a 10 scholarship reduction. That's what a show cause order is.
In other words, nobody's hiring Jim Harbaugh.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. Shout out to Aaron Wilson. He gifted a Monty Show membership. Then there's Joseph Harper, a new member on the show.
Let's go, baby.
Let's see. Joseph Harper, he upgraded to members-only content.
Let's go.
Make sure, Joseph Harper, make sure that you DM Jake, SLC Jake on Instagram or Twitter. Do it on Instagram because he'll enter you into our members-only Instagram chat. Oh, by the way, I think we all know what we're talking about, right? Yeah, we're talking about this situation, right? In that group today, there's no doubt about that. We talked about the Pac-10 in there, like all this stuff.
We talked about Draymond Green's rear naked choke technique.
Yeah, seriously.